folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Urshan, and this week we are counting down the top 10 Dracula performances on film. Now, let me just explain the criteria for this list. If it's based on the original Dracula novel from Bram Stoker, officially or unofficially, or if it's based on characters created in the original Bram Stoker novel, then it is fair game for this list. So with that being said, I have a couple honorable mentions. First one being Willem Dafoe in the film Shadow of the Vampire, which is an interesting film about the making of the original Nosferatu movie from 1922, which was the unofficial version of Dracula. So Willem Dafoe plays Max Schreck, the actor who played Count Orlok in that film. Very interesting, quirky film. Next is Bill Skarsgård in the role of Count Orlok in the recent remake of Nosferatu, the second remake, I might add, which of course was the original, unofficial adaptation of Count Dracula. Very interesting film, very beautifully shot, and Bill Skarsgård has an interesting take on the character. In at number 10 is going to be John Carradine in the role of Count Dracula from House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein from Universal Pictures. So yes, he was taking on the mantle from Bela Lugosi, the late, great, iconic Bela Lugosi, and that's tough shoes to fill, boy. And I have to say, for the longest time, I wasn't a big fan of his portrayal, but over the years, I've really come to appreciate his portrayal, so I've come to enjoy it. In at number 9 is going to be Jack Palance in the role of Count Dracula from 1974, the Dan Curtis version of the Bram Stoker novel. Jack Palance is such a great actor, is so magnetic, so charismatic, and such a commanding presence. And he's the perfect choice to play the character. In at number 8 is William Marshall as Prince Mamuwalde in the film Blackula. Yes, it's the blaxploitation version of Dracula. So he plays an African prince who goes to meet with Count Dracula in the castle to discuss ending the slave trade, and Count Dracula doesn't want to do that, and he ends up biting Prince Mamuwalde, turning him into Blackula. Such a fun film, and it's actually a really good take on the story, I really enjoyed it. It's actually an excellent movie. And of course you had the sequel, Scream, Blackula Scream, featuring Pam Grier. In at number 7 is going to be Max Schreck as Count Orlok in the original 1922 silent film Nosferatu, which is, of course, the first unofficial adaptation of the Dracula story, but it's painfully obvious that it's the Dracula story. They just used, different names for the characters, but it's the exact same story. But man, Max Schreck is very, very creepy in the role. I mean, it's iconic to this day. It's just incredible. In at number 6 is going to be Frank Langella in the role of Count Dracula from the 1979 version, which is a very good film. It's kind of the forgotten version of Dracula, but I think it really holds up well, and I'd say Frank Langella is probably the most handsome and charismatic and suave, debonair portrayal of Count Dracula of all time, I would say. He just embodies that side of Dracula so well. In at number 5 is actually going to be the Countess Marya Zaleska from the film Dracula's Daughter, the official sequel from Universal Monsters to Dracula, and that is Dracula's Daughter. I absolutely love Gloria Holden's portrayal of the Countess. Such a great character, and I love, she's like the reluctant vampire, you know, such a tragic figure, you know. She just wants to be rid of this curse of being a vampire, you know. She just wants to be taken away. She wants to be killed, you know. She just wants to get rid of this curse. And it's an interesting take, and I really enjoy it. And of course, you had the character of Van Helsing returning, played by Edward Van Sloan from the original Dracula from 1931. In at number 4 is going to be Gary Oldman from, of course, the Francis Ford Coppola version of Dracula from 1992. Excellent portrayal, excellent film, very, very gothic, very Hollywood, though, at times. But yeah, very handsome, debonair portrayal of the character of Count Dracula in his many forms, of course. He becomes a wolf, he becomes, yeah, a giant bat creature. But yeah, the original 1992 version, the remake of Dracula from 1992 from Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah, great job, and of course he is heavily influenced by Bela Lugosi's portrayal from the 1931 version. Big time, but he definitely has his own spin on the character as well. And in at number 3, this might be a shocker to you guys, but it's going to be Caleb Landry Jones in the just released in the United States version of Dracula, which was a French film directed by Luc Besson, and released in 2025 in France and other countries. But here it came out in 2026, and I absolutely love his portrayal of the character. Not a particularly handsome dude. He's kind of got a rugged look to him. But yeah, he definitely kind of plays off Bela Lugosi and Gary Oldman. But I think he has the most dialogue of any iterations of Dracula. He has a lot of screen time and a lot of dialogue, and his lines are just delivered just exquisitely, you know. Very well spoken, very charismatic, and yeah, I think it's a brilliant portrayal. Honestly, one of the best. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised by that. In at number 2, of course, is going to be the great Bela Lugosi, of course, from the 1931 version of Dracula. Probably the most well-known portrayal of the character of all time. I mean, his version is the most copied, and when everyone thinks of Dracula, this is the version that they think of, really, you know. It's just his commanding presence, his accent, and his mannerisms as the character of Count Dracula, and his look, of course. I mean, the outfit with the medallion and the cape, the black cape, and oh man, he just embodies what Dracula should be, you know. And that is Bela Lugosi in the 1931 version from Universal Pictures. And in that number 1 is going to be Christopher Lee in Horror of Dracula, and really all the films in the Hammer Dracula franchise. Take your pick, because he's awesome in every single one of them. So, you got Horror of Dracula. You got Dracula, Prince of Darkness, in which he has no lines, but still just as effective. Dracula has risen from the grave. Or Taste the Blood of Dracula. or Scars of Dracula, which I feel is very underrated. And, you know, he has a lot of dialogue. He has much more to do in this film than probably any of the versions of the Hammer films. So definitely check out Scars of Dracula. Next up, you have Dracula AD 1972. And in Christopher Lee's final performance as the Count, Satanic Rites of Dracula. So yeah, what it is about Christopher Lee's portrayal of the character, he just embodies that feral, dark, and monstrous side of Dracula, but he also can portray the charismatic, suave version of Dracula as well. As you see in the horror of Dracula at the beginning and Scars of Dracula. But man, he shows that monstrous, feral side as well, and I don't think anybody does that better than Christopher Lee. Yeah, I just love him. He's got that commanding presence. He's such a tall, imposing figure, that deep voice. He's just magnetic and unforgettable in the role of Count Dracula, and he is my pick for #1 for the top 10 Dracula performances. Alright guys, that's it for me. Feel free to do your own take on this list or your own video. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Good evening, folks, and we got some brand new merchandise for you over at www.thehorrorcona.com, and that's CONA.com. Representing the Horror Corner. Great new design. We got the Morbid Hour live stream there, you got the Horror Hangout live stream there, and you got my nemesis, the Dark Fate. So grab your t-shirt over at www.thehorrorcona.com. And we also got this beautiful new mug. Look at that. Very, very cool. Thought that came out really nice. So grab your merchandise today over at www.thehorrorcona.com.